Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to do my February TBR and then also go over my 25 books that I'm going to prioritize in 2025. It's a little bit late, I know, we're almost into February. I guess when this comes out we will be in February, but that's fine, that's okay. We just have a little bit late start to the year. I'm not gonna worry too much about it, but I do want to talk about those. I have a TBR jar that I have full of prompts. I think I'm gonna do 7. I normally read about 5 to 6 books a month, but I do like to have like a selection of books that I can pick from because I'm the biggest mood reader. So I'm gonna pick 7 books from the TBR jar. I do have a new prompt, and it's the read one of the 25 of my 2025 priority list. So that's gonna go in here. This shelf right here are the 25 books that I'm prioritizing in this year. I'm gonna bring you a little closer so you can see. Okay, hopefully you can see me. I don't know, I think I have it so you can see me. So over here I have 2 horror books. One is Our Wives Under the Sea and the other is A Diary of Blood, and this one is about vampires. And this one is, I believe, one of the characters is, she's a marine biologist, and so she goes and it's like a deep dive in a submarine, and the submarine gets lost and then she comes back, and it's about the story of both wives. And I'm excited to read this. I honestly have only read like 1 or 2 other horror books. I want to expand my genres a little bit. So my next one is fantasy, and I have 2 standalone fantasies. Most of the fantasy that I read are in series, and so I'm trying this year to branch out and try to read some that aren't series. One for my own mental health, because when you start a series, sometimes it becomes so overwhelming, and I'm in the middle of multiple right now. It's good to just read standalone fantasy. I love fantasy and I love the whole concept of it. And so the 2 that I have is The Sword of Kaigen and The Unmaking of June Farrow. I've heard a lot of people mention this book and how much they loved it, but I haven't really heard what it's about, and I want to keep it that way. And then for The Sword of Kaigen, same thing, standalone fantasy, but people have been raving about this, so I'm really excited about that one. And then for my fantasy, 2 fantasy that are the start of series, 2025 is the year that I start reading Brandon Sanderson, and that sounds so crazy because he has so many books and the universe has so many books, but I'm down for the challenge. So starting Mistborn, the first one of this world, and then Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I have literally been wanting to read this since it came out, since it's first been published, but I don't know. I think I have such high expectations for this one that it's almost intimidating, because it's just like, what if I go into it and I hate it? I don't think that's gonna happen, but it's just like, what if? So I've been putting this one off as well, so I'm excited to get to that one. And then same with romance as fantasy. I don't have a hard time reading. Those are my top 2 genres. I love romance and I love fantasy. I love when romance is in fantasy. But it's pretty, I have a long list of romance and fantasy that I want to get to, but these are just the 2 that are top of the genre. So out on a limb, I'm really looking forward to this. And then This Could Be Us. It's another one that's like intimidating, because Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, I gave 5 stars. I loved it, no notes. And I'm just really nervous to read this and not like it. So I've been putting it off, but not this year. What was that? What was that? Oh my gosh. Not the cereal. Cereal, however you pronounce that. Okay. Anyways, these are the 2 romance books. The biggest section that I have is just either lit fic, contemporary fiction, classic, modern day classics, those kind of things. And I'm not gonna pull them out, but Animal I've had for a long time. Just want to get to it. Shred Sisters. Yep. Cleopatra and Frankenstein. most of these books, you'll see a theme here. I haven't gotten to them because I'm intimidated because I have such high expectations for them. I think they're going to be 5-star reads, but that makes me not want to read them because I'm scared that they're not going to be less than 5-star. And so I've been putting them off. Cleopatra and Frankenstein is one of those. Then I have Play It As It Lays by Joan Didion. The Wedding People, top of my TBR. I absolutely cannot wait to get to this book. I've heard mixed things, but that doesn't intimidate me for this one. I'm still very interested in reading The Wedding People. And then for my translated fiction, I have The Memory Police, and this is about a society where people slowly start losing memory of things, and there's a select few that don't, and that's really all that I know about it, but I'm excited to get to this one. And then same with My Brilliant Friend. I feel like people have been raving about that one, or at least talking about that one, and I just want to see what that one's about. Going into my three thrillers that I have, Notes on an Execution. I've had this on my TBR forever. Bright Young Women and The Berry Pickers. Or I guess The Berry Pickers is not a part of it. It's a historical fiction, but there is like a mystery thriller side of it. So going into my historical fiction that I have that I want to read, I have The Berry Pickers, Pachinko, and Against the Loveless World. And then Babel, of course. Dark Academia. I need to get to it. I just have been holding it off. Sci-fi, I don't really read too much of sci-fi. I want to get into that more this year. And the two that I have for that is Project Hail Mary, which I want to listen to it on audiobook, and then Chain Gang All-Stars. Again, really excited to read that one. I've heard really good things about it. And the last book on my 25 of 2025 list is Braiding Sweetgrass, and that is a nonfiction book. I hope I didn't talk too fast or too much about them, but those are my 25 of 2025. When I do my TBR jar, this is the shelf that I'm going to be looking at first, but also I have so many other books that I'm interested in reading. It's not necessarily like these are the first ones I'm going to read, but I want to prioritize these in 2025. Now let's get to picking prompts from my TBR jar. I don't have rules, and if I don't like a prompt or if I don't have a book, I'm just going to put it right back. This is supposed to be fun, and I'm going to keep it fun, so I'm going to take the pressure off of it. If there's a book that I'm not in the mood to read or I don't think I want to read in the month, I'm just not going to pick it, but I am going to try to be strict with if I have a prompt, I'm going to try to find a book that fits it. I have two more shelves that I don't think you can see. If there is a book that I see that is down there, I'll give you that view. But for now, we'll just stick to these four. Let's get started. First prompt. A book someone has recommended to me. Okay. Basically, all the books on these shelves have been recommended in one form or the other, whether it is a popular booktuber or a recommended list on Book Talk. I'm not really one that goes and reads books that no one else has ever seen or heard before. I like to know at least a little bit about a book before I go into it. That's why most of the books are recommended to me in some fashion or another. Is there any book on here that has been recommended to me by a friend? Yes. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. So one of my really good friends here in Denver, she gave this book 5 stars, and I trust her opinion so much. I wanted to read this in the spring, but not summer spring, more of going into the spring. February is not that kind of vibe, but it could be. I don't know if there's any other I don't think any of the other ones have been recommended by any close friends, so I am just gonna stick with Emily Wilde. We'll stick it up there for now. I have not opened this one yet. I do want to clarify that my 25 of 2025, that list solely comes from my own physical TBR. There's other like new releases and books that I don't own that I really want to read in 2025, but I only made this list based on the books that I already owned. I feel like I just needed to clarify that. A book about books. I feel like I don't have any on this one. Ooh. So is it, I might be stretching it, but I do have Not in My Book by Katie Holt, and that's a romance. I don't actually think it's about a book, but you know. The other one I could pick is What You Are Looking For Is in the Library. I don't think it's about books, but I believe people go in and they find the main character gives out book recommendations, and it's like exactly what the person who's coming into the library needs. And that's what this is about. I do already have Emily Wilde on here, so it's kind of already like a coziness. You know what? Well, okay, so the other one is The Lost Bookshop. It's not necessarily about books, but it is about a bookshop. Could be something. I didn't realize this took place in Dublin. I was just in Dublin. I changed my mind. I'm going with The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods, or Evie Woods. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. And it really is solely because I was just in Dublin. So we have a winner there. Okay, so that's 2. So prompt number 3. I also haven't opened this one. An award-winning book. I didn't specify what award, so if it has any kind of award on the cover or on the back, it's fair game. So I have 2 found family, romance, cozy. I don't know. I don't pay attention to awards, I'm gonna be honest. Not in like, I don't listen to people talk about like the Booker Prize and things like that, but right now nothing's clicking, and I can't remember a single book that fits under this category. I'm not gonna go to this shelf. I'm pretty sure The Bee Sting has won something, or at least it was nominated for something. I could go for a classic. I don't really want to read a historical fiction. What am I in the mood for? I'm not in a reading slump, but I haven't read for a few days. Not because I don't want to, but because I actually just don't know what I'm in the mood for. So this is a little difficult. I could go sci-fi route. Could I? I mean, it's a New York Times bestseller. Is that an award? Small things like these. Booker Prize 2022, shortlisted. That's pretty good. Winner of the Orwell Prize. You know what? Brilliant. And it's short too. I don't know if you can see that. It's really short, but this is basically, again, it's an Irish town. I believe it's a heavy topic and just as deeply affecting story of hope, quiet heroism, and empathy from one of the most critically lauded and iconic writers. Going back to South Dakota, but I'll be there for a week and it's really cold and wintry there, so I might pack this one up with me. That is the 3rd one. Let's go for the 4th. A book I could binge in a day. That will probably be romance. It doesn't mean I necessarily have to finish this book in a day, so it's either going to be a short book but I've read short books before, and just because I'm able to, most of the time the shorter books like pack a heavier punch, not like I can binge it. Really the only genre that I could pick for this is romance or fantasy. I feel like I could get a fantasy out of another TBR prompt, so I'm gonna go with a romance. I'm gonna pick Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young, and I really know nothing about this except for, if you don't want to be spoiled by a trope, It's really hard not to know about this book. People talk about it all the time for this specific trope. It's kind of a spoiler, but kind of not, because, yeah, it's on the back, but it has the pregnancy trope. And the only other book that I have read that I actually enjoyed the pregnancy trope on is Ready or Not by Cara Bastone. I don't know what I think that's her last name. I don't know, but it's Ready or Not. And that's the only time that I enjoyed the pregnancy trope. Every other time, it was an absolute miss for me. I'm interested to see if I fit along with the popular choice, if I have a hot take for this book. I probably will love it, because people say that even though they don't like that trope, they love this book, and this is the book to read if you don't like that trope. So, Out on a Limb is my fourth pick. Fifth one. This one threw itself at me, so she wants a little attention. A book I know little about. I'm gonna be absolutely honest with you. I know a lot about every single book on here because I don't pick up a book. Like I said before, I usually know about a book before I buy it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm putting this one back. I want more like bingeable books. That's what I want this next one to be. I want something that I can just eat up. It doesn't have to be great writing. It doesn't have to be the next Nobel literary prize winning thing. I don't even know the Nobel Prize is in. We're gonna cut that out. I don't need like a prize winning book. I want a bingeable book. So I'm hoping that that's what this prompt is. Dark Academia. I guess I do have A Study in Drowning. It's a really pretty version of this book. It is dark academia atmosphere, I believe. Effie has always believed in fairy tales, even though crumbling under the pressure of her first term at college, she can't always seem to tell the difference between fact and fiction. Her only solace has been Angered, an epic from Lyrian national hero and author Emrys Myrddin. Taken by chance and maybe fate to the late author's estate, she is intent on finding the purpose to her own story. This sounds really interesting. I'm gonna be honest, I thought I was gonna throw this right back into the bowl and just break all the rules, but I'm not. I'm gonna put A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. I haven't read any Ava Reid book, but people who have read her books rave about her. Number 6. A book by an author with a J or a C in their name. And those seem like very specific letters, and that's because they are. It's the first letter of my first name and first letter of my last name. An author with a J or C in their name, so it doesn't have to start with it. I'm kind of want a thriller. I could read The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I need to put a thriller in here or else I'm gonna go insane. I'm gonna go, of course. Of course is at the very bottom. Wow. I'm picking The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I've heard this is a hit or miss, but I just need a bingeable thriller, and I know that's what this is. She's going on the list for a book by an author with a letter J or C in the name. I kind of want to get like a high fantasy book. Oh, wait. Quicksilver is by Callie Hart, and it has a C, Callie. I should have looked a little harder. I could also read Carissa Broadbent's fantasy books. If I get one that doesn't allow me to pick, you know what? I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna see what the next prompt is, and I might do a little switcheroo. My last prompt. Wow, the book universe is on my side. I pulled free choice. I can't believe that actually happened. So I'm gonna go with Quicksilver for my 7th pick, my free choice. And Got another thing was falling on my head. I could not be more excited. Let me grab the 7 books that I have for February. Really excited about this stack. I think I have one of every genre. That's actually so not true. I just lied. But I do have a good selection. I have some romance in there. I have some bingeable books in there. I have some heavier topics in there. I have dark academia. I have found family. I'm happy. Thank you for being here and following along and just listening to me ramble. If you have any more recommendations, you saw what I have for my top 25 that I want to get to, my high priority reads. If you saw any of the other books on this shelf that you think I should put in my top 26 to 30, please let me know. I'm really excited to hear what you think. And if you read any of these books, please let me know. I want to know if you loved them, if you didn't like them, if you have like any hot takes, or if you think I should prioritize one or the other. Please let me know. I appreciate it. Sometimes it's hard for me to make decisions, so make the decisions for me. But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.